It's been a while. It's been a sec. No, did you miss me? Where's she been? Oh, where have you been? Where have you been? But I'm back, not necessarily better. In fact, more added trauma, but it's gonna look good in the bibliography. It's near the end of the year, 2021. Technically the worst year I've had, but it's nearing the end, and I read a lot of books this year. As you can see, I have a bookshelf. I read a lot of books this year. I think on my Kindle it says I read like 99 books. I went through this thing, I'm gonna call it chronic reading. I'm gonna say it was a phase. And the chronic reading phase is literally, I did not want to be present in real life, so I was using reading as like a crazy ass escape. I was reading like 400 to 600 page books, 5 in a week, just to escape from reality, because I literally, your girl did not want to be here when I tell you. And I'm just gonna rank them, because why not? I'm just gonna tell you all the books I read this year, especially now like stuff like book talk and stuff is popping off, and a lot of the book recommendations I got were from book talk. I'll get to you in a minute. I'll tell you whether they're worth it, because we have some things to discuss, okay? Because some of you are liars. The main categories are the highs, the lows, and then the sows, the DNFs, and did I even read this? Was I even reading? So I'm gonna start with the highs first, because let's start this video on a high note. There are a mixture of books I thought were really good, like really well written and like world building wise, and then also a mixture of books that are not the best, nowhere near, but the general reading experience was great. Like the reading experience I had a lot of fun. These are kind of like really chaotic books that I just thought were hilarious, and I just had loads of fun reading it. So I'll give you like a preview of what my Kindle looks like. I read a lot on Kindle simply because Kindle books are cheaper and I have more money, and also I have Kindle Unlimited now, so I got loads of books kind of for free. I'll just give you a quick preview so you see what we're dealing with here. I'm not gonna hold you up and do like a proper review of every single book. I'm gonna give you the ones I want to talk about. I'll talk about my number one high. I started this year, I read the Throne of Glass series like December of 2020. So I went into the year continuing that series. Let me talk about this book. I would tell you why the entire Throne of Glass series made my high, because the reading experience was impeccable. It was really impeccable. I live tweeted at least the last 3 books. I have like threads on Twitter of me reacting to them, and it was just so fun to read. The books are chaos. The books are actual chaos. None of it makes sense, but it was like, I had so much fun. Does it need to make sense if you're having fun? Believe me, I don't like Sarah J Maas. Let me repeat that. I do not like Sarah J Maas. Her writing is goofy. She killed, don't act like she didn't kill off all the black characters in the second book. No, I read that. I read that, Miss Inclusive. I peeped that. A lot of the characters I loved. I don't think I've cried for a book series like I cried for this book series. You see Empire of Storms? You're sick. That is a trauma book. You cannot tell me that was necessary. I mean, it was necessary to the plot, but like, I swear she just put that in there for trauma. I cried for like 4 days after that book. It's not funny. Don't laugh. I see you laughing. It's not funny. You don't need the word swaggering. Release yourself from the shackles of swaggering, in especially the Throne of Glass and House of Crescent. You saying swaggering doesn't mean the character has swag. Aelin was a cold character. Ooh, follow my Twitter if you want to see the threads that I made when I was reading it. They're kind of funny. I think I dedicated like 2 weeks of my life to that series, because there's 7 books in that series. The last book is 900 pages. Under what universe, under what rule did that book need to be 900 pages? It didn't. 200 pages, because it easily kicked out of that story, but I had a good time. Too many characters, way too many characters, way too many plot lines. I don't know who she thought she was. I had a great time reading it. I can't complain. On to the next series. Then I read Six of Crows. Big Six of Crows duology. This is self-explanatory as to why it's my high, because it's Six of Crows. Leigh Bardugo is really doing her thing right now. She's making her peas. I can't hate. But yeah, in terms of character-led fantasies, it's definitely easily one of the top character-led fantasies. The world building is insane. I'm not gonna lie to you, I did not know what was going on for the first like three chapters live, for about 30% of the book, because she kind of just throws you in the world. She doesn't explain anything, and it's kind of like you kind of figuring it out yourself. So maybe if you don't really like, if you want everything to be kind of like info dumped on you, it might not be this series for you. But it's definitely one of those things you have to kind of figure out what's happening as you read it, and then you get to that point where just everything starts making sense, and that's when it really starts like getting really interesting. Flame in the Mist by Renee, I'm gonna butcher her last name, sorry, Renee Ade. I believe she's the same person who wrote The Wrath of Something and Something. Yeah, Flame in the Mist was a really good book. I think it's pretty self-explanatory why it was there. The second book I also read did not make my high though. I think the second book, I think it was kind of rushed. So Smoking the Sun is in my soul. But Flame in the Mist, the world building, the story, it's fun. It's fun. The characters are so likeable and lovable, and it's kind of like loads of action scenes, like it's full of them. So The Cruel Prince, Wicked King and Queen of Nothing. What series is that? The Fae, hang on, by Holly Black. You guys know what I'm talking about if I put the thing there. Yeah, also made a high. Like I said, they were really entertaining books. I don't actually remember a lot, but Jude and Carden, big up, big up. House of Blood and Earth, aka Crescent City. I know some of you are asking me, why is another Sarah J Maas in your high? Let me land. The reading experience was fun. But the writing in that book was goofy. It shouldn't be in my high, but I was entertained thoroughly because there's a lot happening in that book. It's 800 pages. Did it need to be 800 pages? Not on this earth, not in this universe. It should have been at least about 600. But them last 200 pages hit, and she does this with every book. She makes the book so long, but she puts all the action in those last 200 pages that like it's chaos, that you have no reason but to be invested. There's like random swear words everywhere. I feel like she really tried to push the point that this was a new adult book and not like a YA book. So like she was just adding swear words left and right into sentences that like did not make sense. But yeah, like I said, the characters were cool. The ending was lit. Those last 200 pages were fire. You can't even tell me nothing about them last 200 pages because the action scenes in this book were cold, and I'm a sucker for action. Crescent City made my high. Kill me, lock me up, but it did. Okay, goodbye. And you guys that were saying it's complicated, it was not that complicated. Sure, there's a lot going on, but Tomi Adeyemi, Children of Blood and Bone, wow. Easily, if not the best book I read this year. And I rated the initial book a 4.5 out of 5. Like this, the actual world building, crazy. The world building is crazy. The characters have all right development. I'm talking about Inan, all right development. The story itself is amazing. And then you add the author's note in there and how she ties it to like realistic times. Generally, just I feel like authors of colour and black authors just making stories about black kids just in a fantasy world where it has nothing to do with their race. Just put them in a fantasy book and let them do fantasy stuff. These Violent Delights and Our Violent Ends by Chloe Gong. Great series, great duology. She's popping off now, and at her age, the way she can like do world building and like character just development, and overall the characters are so lovable, and like it's a great kind of place to escape. It's a Romeo and Juliet retelling in 1920s Shanghai. Great series. She was also on TikTok, big up on TikTok, she's funny. The next is The Ravenhood. The Ravenhood is made out of 3 books written by Kate Stewart. It's Flock, Exodus and The Finish Line. Flock, I didn't like Flock, I'm gonna be 100% honest. The whole like the ending of Flock is what made me continue the rest of the series. Exodus and The Finish Line. Exodus is my favourite book in the entire series. Finish Line was alright, but Exodus for me, girl, they had me going on a trip. Miss Kate, she had me going on a ride. I think overall it's about like kind of the relationship between the brothers and the overall like kind of brotherhood. Dominic and Tobias, just the relationship, it made me cry. Like Finish Line and Exodus made me cry. Dominic, are you dumb? Dominic was like one of my favourite characters, hands down. Hands down. But yeah, it's a high. It's a high, baby. It's a high. It's by Christina and Lauren, and it's the Filthy Sweet, Dirty Rowdy, Dark Wild Night. Those 3 books, they're so fun. And they're just like fun romance books, and I kind of got to a point, there was a time when I was doing back-to-back fantasy and I needed something to break it up. I was not a romance contemporary girl. I did not start this year as a romance contemporary girl. But let me tell you this, I definitely ended the year as one. All the characters are lovable, it's funny as hell, it's spicy, because I know you guys, you contemporary readers are freaks. Playing with Fire by LJ Shen. I heard she's problematic. I don't know anything about that. So it's like a girl who she got burnt. So she has like a huge burn mark, and like she wants to be an actress, so it's like set in high school, and I feel like there were really cute moments in that book. It just made me giddy, it made me smile, and so like how can I hate? It made a high. It was personally a high. Legendborn. Woo! Legendborn. Legendborn by Tracy Dion, is that the name? Legendborn by Tracy Dion. I didn't think it was as great as the other saying. Like, it definitely wasn't my top book of the year, but I had fun reading it. And like the way she just threw in stuff about slaves, I said, oh, I know these white kids were shaking when they were reading it. It's a great book. It's another book written by like a black author about a black kid. Like the characters are entertaining to read. It's a great plot line. It's very unique. Like, I haven't read a book like that, do you know what I mean? And it's also, it's about like King Arthur. Are you from New York even? Do you have a floppy jacket even?
Are you from New York even? Yeah. Are you from New York even? Do you have a big black puffer jacket even?
Not King Arthur. It's a fun book. It's a fun book. I'm ready for the second book. The next, The Poppy War. Woof, 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 woof. I have a lot to say about The Poppy War. Hang on. R.F. Kuang. I only read the first two, but let me land. That series, I have a lot to say about it. It's a brilliant series. It's a brilliant series. I had a great time reading it. The characters are infuriating, but you have to remember they're kids put in a very adult situation and a very sticky situation. But the world building and like the war kind of mythology and the entire like lore behind the Poppy War, the world, is insane. The writing is stunning. I liked more that it's kind of like they put these kids and you're training them to be soldiers and deal with impossible shit, and these kids can't deal with it, and you can clearly see from the amount of stupid ass mistakes they make. All the characters are slightly morally grey. No one, I would say off the bat, no one is correct and no one is wrong. Like, there is no good or bad side. Necesstan. But yeah, I just couldn't get into that last book. I'm sorry, I have not read it. There are a few trigger warnings because we're talking about war here, and the author doesn't shy away from talking about like the nitty-gritty stuff that these kids have to deal with when it comes to war. But yes, The Poppy War, The Dragon Republic, great books. The next one, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Are you dumb? Are you dizzy? Are you sick? This book was the first book I ever read from Colleen Hoover, and boy did I learn a few things. Colleen Hoover has this ability to present the book as something completely different to what the story is. I thought it was just a cute romance book that I was using to break up like fantasy series. I did not expect my heart to be broken. I did not expect my ass to cry. I did not expect to be shaking and crying and shivering in my boots. Okay, it's a great book. There's like imperfections with it. The writing is not amazing, but there are some beautiful quotes in there that I definitely highlighted. To be able to get into the mind of someone, because I know there's, especially on the world of social media, there's so many people that would complain that that could never be me, or why didn't she just do this, why didn't she just do that. But I love the way when you're put in the head of that character, like it makes sense what she was doing or why she was staying. But yeah, brilliant book, personally. L. Kennedy. The Deal, The Mistake, The Scored Goal. The Deal is my favorite one, which is why it's my high. I mean, the other ones are good as well, they're great. But The Deal, An Ember in the Ashes, Torch in the Night, Reap at the Gates, I only read the first three. Sabata Here. Self-explanatory, great series, great fantasy series. The Problem with Forever by Jennifer Armentrout. It's written so much better than her other books, and I will talk about the other book that I'm going to talk about because you are taking me for a ride if you think that I liked her fantasy book. I cried in like the first chapter, epilogue type beat. Legend series by Marie Lu. Are you dumb? Are you dumb? Are you dumb? I read all 4 books. I thought Rebel was not going to be as good because it wasn't part of that original trilogy. There's a huge time jump and it's more about the brother, but I had a great time. It's one of my favorite like fantasy series, and I think I was really late to read it because it came out a while ago and I just don't know why I did not like come across it. I was reading House of Night, so you know I was stuck busy reading them 12 billion books. Lauren Asher, and that's so funny because I read I found her on TikTok, and then I went to go read the books because all of the kids were talking about it, and it's a really fun series. It's like F1 racing romances, and it's like a friendship group, and so it kind of, each book, kind of like the score, dots to each person in the friendship group. Archer's voiced by Mia Sheridan. It made me cry. So I don't know whether I was crying because of the book or crying because of my life, but either way, like, I really like the story. It's about a guy who doesn't speak and how he's kind of judged in the, like, this community, and then there's this girl who I think she moves there and she kind of makes an effort, and most of the book is them sign languaging, which I think is beautiful. Another high is Dark and Hollow Star, which I found on Kindle Unlimited. Ashley Shuttleworth, A Dark and Hollow Star, and it's a really good fantasy. I hope there's a second book. I don't really know when it came out, but it seems like quite a recent one. The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I had no choice but to read this book. It was everywhere. It was on my For You page. Everyone was talking about it. Again, it's not the best book I ever read. I think you guys were really shaking your boots over something that, like, it wasn't amazing, but it's a good book. And there's not many books I've read personally that are set in that kind of like old Hollywood era. And I don't know if anyone's watched the show Hollywood on Netflix, but that's kind of what I was imagining when I was reading this book. But TikTok, you didn't do too bad with that one. It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I had a girl blushing. And so yeah, it's a cute romance and I had fun reading it. Those are all the highs. I will put them somewhere here. Those are all the highs of my 2021. And so, From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. From Blood and Ash. Come here. Zoom in fact. Let's come close. Let's talk on a real level. Everyone that recommended that on TikTok, I hope you don't get Christmas presents this year. You guys you're crickets, you're rats. The writing in this book is tragic. It's such a predictable story. How could you not see? You guys were shocked. You were already shocked. Liars. TikTok, you were dizzy. You must have been on something because we weren't reading the same book. A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. That entire series needs to be thrown in the bin. It needs to be burnt at the stake. Did I only read it because Rude of Cindy read it? I sure did, because I wanted to know what all the jokes were about. I wanted to get on the Tamlin hee hee ha ha. And I think it's because I came from reading of Throne of Glass series. I came from that. And for me, that's like probably one of Sarah J. Maas's best writing and character stories. And so coming from that to ACOTAR, scary. It has good moments. Not a lot, but it has good moments. And for me, the second book, I think it's, A Court of Mist and Fury for me. If I had to pick a book from that series, it would be A Court of Mist and Fury and A Court of Silver Flames. Those were like my top ones because they're the most active. Feyre is the most boring protagonist ever. Come here, come, zoom in again. Let me talk to you. Open your third, fourth, and second ears. Let me ask you a question. Name a personality trait of Feyre. Immediately, quickly, go.
Where's the flavor? Where's the flavor in this? I don't taste anything. I don't taste sugar, cinnamon, nutmeg, milk, nothing. Nothing at all. It's just bland.
You couldn't, could you? Because she has none. Don't tell me painting. Rysand took a women's studies class in 2009 and he thinks he's an activist and he's a feminist. Nesta is literally like the most hated person in that series, okay? But to read from her point of view is so much more interesting because she's so chaotic. And she's just such a bitch. Why her and Cassie were getting freaking every flipping scene, I do not know. Children of Vengeance and Virtue by Tomi Adeyemi, which is the second one to Blood and Bone. I hated Children of Vengeance and Virtue with every bone in my soul. When you go from the first book, which was absolutely it's a brilliant book. When you go from that to the level of Children of Vengeance and Virtue, crazy. However, if you guys are making a film, please use me. I can act. Do I have any evidence that I can act? No, but ask people around me, they'll tell you. I will take acting lessons for that. I really want to be in it. So if you want to act, if you want to lead, I can be Amari. I can be Zelie if you want. Children of Vengeance and Virtue. I feel like It was assassination of characters. Like, Zelie becomes unbearable. She becomes unbearable to read about. Amari starts making crazy decisions, and I don't hate Amari still. I actually still like Amari on the weekends, and I feel like there were no repercussions. Like, Amari deadass committed like genocide. She felt sad about it. She was sad about it, but that's it. There were like no repercussions. Punk 57 by Penelope Douglas. Yeah, let's talk about this because I know you guys are raging over that on TikTok. I can't get behind, I cannot fathom bully romances. I can't do it. I tried. I really tried hard, but it's just giving a lot of Stockholm syndrome. If you don't like the characters, the spice is not going to hit. So, Rival by Penelope. I'm just clowning Penelope Douglas. Rival by Penelope Douglas, which is part of the Fall Away series. Rival, get that book far away from me. Get it away. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Ex-step siblings. That's too close to incest for me. It was too close. I was reading it like this. I was reading it like Promises Pomegranates. This book is insane. The book is crazy. Okay, it's just not for me. It's for someone. The book's for someone, but it's not for me. It's not a bit me. Do you know what I mean? Truly by Carmel Rhodes. Why? Why? And why to a fellow black sister? Why? Some people can like, some people enjoy that kind of play with like morally wrong and correct things. Not even morally wrong, lawfully wrong and correct things, and like they can forgive people because he's hot, but it's not for me. Love, it's not a bit of me. And that's all my lows wrapped up. So not a lot of lows. Not a lot of lows. So these are all my lows. Okay, cool. So we're gonna quickly go through my so's. The Love Hypothesis.
When I catch you, ho.
Cut them fucking lights.
Cut them fucking lights on, bitch.
I know you guys were screaming, crying, and shaking over that on TikTok. The kiss quotient. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm not a maths person. Another one. I don't know whether to put that in a high because I actually really like that book. You know what? I'm gonna be rude and move the kiss quotient up to high because I think it was a really great book. I think it was cute. It was funny. Hopeless by COLLEEN Hoover. That's a crazy book. It's a crazy book. Was it as crazy to put it in my high? No, but I had fun reading it. Smoke in the Sun, which is the second one to Flame in the Mist. Smoke in the Sun, like I said, I feel like it was very cramped, especially because Flame in the Mist was such a good book. But I felt like they really tried to rush the ending a bit, which is why it kind of took me out. But it's still a continuation of a great series. 1,000 Boy Kisses. I'm not someone, I don't like tragedy. You know it's going to be a sad book and you kind of know where it's going to go. But I think there's a lot of quotes and stuff about life in there that I think is really beautiful. The Hating Game. It's now being made into a movie. I saw the trailer. The first time I read it, I thought it was amazing. And then the second time I read it, I was like, this is goofy. So it's kind of a so now. Law. You guys are so rude about Law. Like, I had a great time reading that book. It was not that confusing. It's just because it's a single fantasy book, a lot happens and a lot is crammed into that book. But it probably would have worked out better as maybe a duology. But I had a great time, and pretty much anything with Greek mythology, I'm eating it up. Heartburns by COLLEEN Hoover, another great COLLEEN Hoover book. The Unhoneymooners. I thought it was a great time. I thought it was a great book the first time I read it, and then it's kind of the same thing with The Hating Game. I read it the second time and I was like, it's not that interesting. City of Brass. I think it was a really great book, but I did not continue the series because I could see that it was kind of doing that difficult thing where you're playing with morally grey characters and you either totally ruin the character, and I could kind of sense that's where the series was going. And so I didn't continue it. That's why it's in my so, but I actually really like that book. Earn Your Extra Credit, another great fun read. Try Six Venom. Like I said, I'm not a sucker for bully romances. I can't do it. I hated, what's her name, Claire, whatever the blonde one was. But I think the actual relationship between the brunette girl and like her entire family, I found that really entertaining, and I like that in the book. And so yeah, and it was spicy. So who can hate? Falling Away by Penelope Douglas. All Your Perfects, another one. Another Colleen Hoover, full of tragedy, full of trauma. But yeah, it didn't stick with me as the other one, so it's a good book. The Heart Principle. Stay With Me and Even When I'm Gone. I came across these books by chance, like by pure chance. They are one of the most chaotic books I've ever read. The only reason it's not up there is because they're slightly chaotic in the wrong way, and I don't know how to explain that. Like, it's too chaotic. There's too many plot twists, and this is someone coming who like throwing a glass, okay? It kind of goes in circles, but also goes in squiggles. The Fine Print, the same author who wrote, I think Lauren Asher, who wrote, it's like her newest book. I did not like it as much as Thrall, because I think I just liked the F1 world better. And this is kind of like a rich guy who likes a girl who's slightly poorer. I think it was cute. It was fun. And that's all the stories. So I kind of rushed through them, but like, it's a shitload of books here. Now I'm gonna quickly blow through Did I Read This? These are just books that, like I said, during my chronic reading era, I don't actually remember reading them. There's nothing significant about them. I can't form an opinion on them because I don't remember a single plotline. How to Fail at Flirting, The Best Worst Man, The Wedding Date, A Touch of Darkness. And I know loads of people were talking about Touch of Darkness on TikTok. I can't remember a single plot point from it. All I know is I read it. I know that it's something to do with Persephone and Hades. The Right Swipe, The Happily Every Other Playlist, The Checklist, Piece of Work. You guys are gonna hate me for saying that You and Me on Vacation, because people are hyping it up. Like, I just did not think it was that good. I think I'm not really invested when they're like childhood loves to lovers stories, which is why also Love in Other Words is also in the forgettable zone. Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover. I, for the life of me, can't remember what it was, but I'm pretty sure it was a good book. But I'm sorry. I don't remember anything about it. The Spanish Love Deception, also, I don't really remember anything about it. I Need You to Hate Me, I swear to you, if it was not on my Kindle, like, I would not even know I read that book. Oh, it's a series. I must not have liked it because I didn't read the second one. Get a Life by Chloe Brown. You lot are going to shoot me.
Oops, better delete that.
I've heard a lot about Talia Hibbert. I've even seen her on TikTok, and I'm sure she's a great author, and I'm sure that her books are amazing. I just don't really remember much about this one, and I'm sorry, that might have just been a me problem. And that's pretty much all the books I read this year, because I only had 3 DNFs, and they were All the Bright Places, Red Rising, and American Queen. Get that book far away from me. I bow to no men. I'm sorry, I could not get into this whole power play thing. If you see me crawl to a man, I have lost my mind. You need to lock me up. If you ever see me crawl, and that's it. Those are all the books I read this year. This is probably the longest video ever. It's gonna take me hella long to edit. Yeah, it's been a ride, yeah. The highs were highs, the lows were lows, the sows were sows. If you had a great time, please like and subscribe. I'm back. I'm going to make more videos. I'm going to make more movie commentaries, hopefully more book videos and like book review videos where I can actually go into depth about the book themselves. I hope you don't hate me for liking certain books and hating certain books. I hope you guys don't take me to jail or report this account. Okay, please don't. Thank you for watching my video. Like, share, subscribe, party.